Video number 2 in the getting started or going back to the gym series, being more active. Last week we talked about kind of setting goals and figuring out what your why is for going after that goal. And so hopefully you've had a little bit of time to kind of sit back and examine your goal and maybe dive a little bit deeper into your reason why that goal is important to you. Excuse me. And so this week I really wanted to kind of talk about two things. Is the type of activity that we're going back to pursue and allocating time and finding time for that. And so the first part of this kind of is maybe atypical for a personal trainer to be talking about. I know a lot of personal trainers are going to say, it's really important to go back and work on easing into it, working on fundamentals, and it is. I will not disagree. I think that it is really important to make sure that as you're going back and doing these things that you're listening to your body and making sure that you're not going to injure yourself. But I think something that limits a lot of clients working with personal trainers is that personal trainers typically only work out of a gym, and I think there's so much more to exercise and physical activity than going and lifting weights. There's running, there's swimming, there's yoga, there's boxing, there's martial arts, there's triathlons, there's cycling, there's CrossFit. I mean, you name it, there are tons of different variations of activities, and most often you're going to be in a class, or it's going to be taught or directed by somebody who has an understanding of the human body and hopefully has done the research and has had the education in order to safely coach people through these movements. Is that true for everyone? No, of course not. I would say that is when you need to use your good judgment, and if you feel as though somebody's directing you to do something counterintuitive, dangerous, maybe you should not be in that environment. But for the most part, we need to assume that the people who are coaching and teaching know what they're talking about and have some experience. And so when going and evaluating what our goals are, realize that there are more options than just going and lifting weights. Is lifting weights a tried and true method to achieving a lot of these goals? Absolutely. That's why we all have jobs. That's why there are personal trainers in almost every single city across the country, probably across the world. And so I think being open-minded and realizing that, hey, this is interesting to me, or this is the kind of activity that I like, is important. And also realizing that you don't have to commit to one thing. A lot of times these CrossFit, yoga, cycle, a lot of those companies or places have packages. You can buy a 10-pack of yoga class. You can buy a 10-pack of CrossFit classes. And then you can kind of mix and match what activities you want to do. It's expensive to do that. It's not, none of these, if it was cheap, it would be unattainable for a lot of people, right? And so I think you really got to prioritize, is variation important to me? I know there's a lot of gyms that also offer different variations of these classes, and so looking into memberships at gyms that maybe you can kind of get that full scale fitness experience, whether it's group classes, yoga, cycle, martial arts, or like the gym, the pool. I think it's really important to find the things that really excite us and don't really seem like a task that needs to be accomplished. Maybe have it be something that's more exciting and you're gonna want to go do. I think that's really important for long-term success. And then the other part of that is finding the time in your schedule and not making crazy adjustments to the schedule that you're currently working with. I think a lot of people look at, the class schedules or the workout schedules when the gym's less busy and just start making huge adjustments to, their work schedule making adjustments to the time when they spend time with their family or commit to a lot of things. I think that it's realistic to evaluate, maybe do I wake up earlier, maybe I go from work straight to the gym and then I go home, maybe there's another hour buffer in there that I do. I think adjusting our schedule is realistic, but I think making huge radical changes is unwise to long-term success, especially if, you know, I'm sure you have commitments that you can't just change. You know, you can't just tell your boss, oh, I gotta go work out. You gotta clock in, you gotta make that bread. Like, no one else is gonna do it for you. And so really looking at your schedule and seeing when the most ideal time for you to go and pursue this goal is. I'm a morning person. I wake up between 4:45 and 5:30 usually. I think that it's reasonable for me to then allocate an hour, hour and a half in the morning to going to the gym, showering, and getting ready. I think there's a lot of people who don't enjoy getting up and working out at that time. And I think that's totally reasonable. A lot of people don't enjoy getting up that early. And so my challenge would be like really evaluate your schedule and kind of know your tendencies and be able to fit it in. And so I kind of took my school and work schedule and kind of like broke it down into what I would be doing for each week. And so, you know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't have class on Friday. And then I obviously have Saturday and Sunday off. And so going through and kind of like looking at my schedule and seeing, you know, I have class from 11 to 12, but I have that little bit of time in between where I like to work and study. And so for me, again, the logical time that I need to be spending in the gym on Monday is probably in the morning. And so again, Tuesday, 9:30 to 10:45, and then I'll want to work. So I'll probably do a more easy day on, I wrote Tuesday here, but like now that I'm like thinking my schedule, Wednesday is by far my rest day for sure. It's my busiest day with classes. And so, you know, being aware of your schedule and when it's going to be easiest for you to work these things in. A lot of people look at a workout routine and they're like, I gotta work out 7 days a week for, you know, 2 hours a day. And that's simply unrealistic. If you're just getting started, your body is going to be way too sore to accommodate that much exertion. And beyond that, it's going to overwhelm you mentally and you're not going to want to do this. And so I took some time off recently, moving and kind of making some life changes. And so as I'm going back to the gym, I'm realizing that like working out 4 or 5 days a week like I did a year ago is not realistic for me. And so slowly going back, you know, 2-3 days a week and then slowly increasing to 4, maybe 5 days a week is going to be important to me and my ability to establish these habits as establish these actions as long-term habits that propel me towards future success. So sit back, look at your schedule and see what are the most ideal times for you. When is going to be, when are you going to face the least amount of resistance in order to go to the gym, go to one of these classes, you know, really evaluate that and then do some research, kind of look and see what classes you are. You know, I know that there's a few cycle studios here in Junction. There's a couple yoga studios. I've been to a couple of the yoga studios and I absolutely love them. CMU has some yoga classes, some bar classes, some cycle classes. And so just kind of see what is around you, what's accessible to you. You know, obviously don't go out and spend an astronomical amount of money, be responsible, but do something that's fun. This is, you know, I think everybody who has worked out can agree that at some point during your workout, you wonder why you're doing it. But at the end, it's always a rewarding feeling. And then long term, you know, I went from being almost 300 pounds to now 150 pounds. You know, I'm able to go do the things that I want to do. I'm able to spend time with my family the way that I want to and not feel as though my body is strained or I'm straining my friends and family around me. So I think those would be kind of my next tips as you're thinking about going back to the gym is look into classes, understand that there's variation. You don't have to just do one thing. When you're committing to a goal of weight loss, the nuances like consistency is key. And so, yeah, it is really beneficial for you to be working out with a personal trainer and establishing proper movement patterns within your body. But if you're brand new to the gym and all of this is brand new, let's start small. Let's make it realistic. Let's make it something that you want to do rather than something that you need to do. You know, it's never going to be the easiest thing. It's never going to be the most fun thing that we do every day, but hopefully over time it becomes something that we enjoy doing. Maybe as sadistic as it is, but yeah, that would be my goal for you for the next week, is kind of sit back and look at those two things and then tune back in next week, get my website, browse and see what you think, and then give me a follow on social media. Thanks, have a good week.